legally sell marijuana has taken off over the years in the U.S., with some experts projecting sales to reach more than $90 billion in the next 4 years. But for many black and brown entrepreneurs who want to get into the weed business, some say they faced roadblocks getting up in that shop, with issues securing financing to being passed over during the licensing process as well. Well, get this, Sean Cradle was apparently the only black and brown CEO of a cannabis company to open a dispensary during Black History Month. The U.S. Marine and Corps veteran and college professor launched Pineapple Express out in LA near the famed Hollywood and Vine intersection. Cradle hopes to create a chain of cannabis retail stores under the Pineapple Express name as soon as federal laws allow it. Well, joining me now is the CEO and president of Pineapple Express, Sean Cradle. Thank you so much for joining us, and also thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Sean, we also mentioned,
over here in LA, right?
right? I know the time difference. It's all good. Good morning, good afternoon. But we also mentioned a few of the issues that black and brown entrepreneurs across the country are facing when it comes to opening a legal cannabis or marijuana business. I do want to mention that in a Federal Reserve report indicating black and Latino-owned businesses outside of the cannabis industry are half as likely to be approved for a loan compared to white-owned businesses. So your take on this, and how has this impacted your business out in California?
Well, I mean, my take on this is, is simple. We need more black and brown representation, and not just in cannabis, but, across the country in every aspect of, in all facets of marketplaces. But, more specifically for cannabis, it's something that is super rare. We're the most, I'm African American, I'm also Puerto Rican, and so I represent both black and brown, and, this is just, in the cannabis industry is something that is not representative of leadership. We have a lot of folks that maybe work maybe in middle management, maybe even upper management, but certainly not folks that are in my position, in my seat. And that's something that I think using my platform as for the last 3 going on almost 4 years now, I've been trying to spread that message. A lot of times, especially the youth, they don't see us in these positions, and so it's important that they see and they know that you're real, and know that they can actually ascend to seats such as this. Whereas I myself, did not succumb to being a product of my environment. I grew up with a black single mom in a not so progressive Connecticut in the '80s, and I was the first person to go to school and all these things. So I think it's important to lead by example, as also the Marine Corps has taught me as well, so that kids can see, and not just kids, but also my peers that may think that middle management is all that they can achieve and ascend to, not just in cannabis, but as I mentioned, in all facets of marketplace.
No, most definitely. I mean, you touched a little bit on that personal aspect as well, but can you walk us through some of the hurdles that you faced, as from the black and brown community? What are people that are looking into that, what is your recommendation to them right now? Because it is a hard business, not only in this industry, but in all the businesses, and you need, like you said, representation does matter. So can you give us some points to any of our viewers watching at this point?
Honestly, I grew up basically with my head down, and I did not, I watched Michael Jordan on television, but I wasn't one of the people that wanted to be like Mike per se. I just wanted to do the best that I could. So for myself, so I didn't honestly worry about pitfalls. I didn't worry about extra hurdles being this color that is afforded in this country. I just knew that I had to work harder just to be maybe on the same level of playing field, which is why I went on to pursue 4 master's degrees. I have 6 total. But I pursued 4 master's and achieved 4 master's degrees, not necessarily for any goal in but I just knew that I had to really just build myself up, both, from traditional market, corporate world, nonprofits, real estate, entrepreneurship, and obviously education. I just figured I could hit it at all facets so that I couldn't be denied. It would have to really look in my face and say, we don't want you in this position because of this. So I had to make that known, and it's okay. I especially in the Marine Corps, it's a tough branch. So we do have a lot of. We used to say that in the Marine Corps, this is like the not so well off part of the armed services because we don't have a lot of money and expenditure and things like that. So we had to work harder just to be normal, but it actually built character and it allowed me to be in this position. Quite frankly, I think being black and brown and going through a lot of the issues that most folks don't see or would never encounter, as if I have a different feeling if I get pulled over by the police, right? Than someone who may not be my color. So it's those types of things that actually builds character and actually makes you much more even and calm-headed to be in a CEO type of position, which is it's a very lonely place. You're on an island along with HR or something like that.
Yeah. Well, Sean, thank you for getting personal and sharing that aspect of your life. We do want to ask you about the trend with marijuana prices though, as well. Data from the Cannabis Control Commission shows that the legal marijuana industry essentially launched back in 2018. Prices have continued to drop even through 2021. So what impact could these lower prices have on a cannabis industry like yours?
Well, we'd actually, in terms of lowering prices, it depends on where that's coming from. I would hope that tax breaks are afforded in the states so that we can be more competitive with the traditional markets. So we honestly I try to make this a no nonsense approach to pricing and marketing structures. We like to basically, we have to cover our overhead, but I also want to at least make sure that, let's say you buy a gram of cannabis from the traditional market, on your local person, or you buy it through Pineapple Express. I try to make that cost, including tax, very, very close to the traditional market so that it makes it a little more peace of mind for you to go buy a product that has been lab tested and third party tested and state approved with a receipt rather than not knowing what you're getting from the traditional market. So we try to be as competitive as possible. And I think that once federal laws catch up with state laws, we'll see that drop a little bit more. But at this time, I would charge and challenge the states to give a tax break to the companies that also translates to the consumer.
Yeah.
It helps to weed out, no pun intended or maybe intended, the traditional market.
Yeah, no, definitely an evolving business, especially, it varies also from state to state. Well, Sean Cradle, thank you so much for this information. And again, thank you for your service here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Well, don't go anywhere.